Yes, good morning to you. Very, very good morning. And I hope that you are hearing me. Is it or not? Yes, yes, yes. There is a problem, it seems. That's why you could not hear me. Are you hearing me? Yeah, I can't hear your audio. Okay. Now, yes, yes, yes. It is detecting. Yeah, yeah, slowly. It is coming. Speaker USB, speaker site, and speaker USB. Yes, next. Yeah,
Hello.
checking the audio device, detecting audio proposal, checking audio device status. Yeah, explore, close. What about now?
Sir, Teachers Day
Are you
శుభాకాంక్షలు
hearing
సార్.
my voice? Oh, then you are not hearing my voice.
You are hearing,
Mute,
sir?
unmute. Yes, I am looking at it. Change speaker, change icon, properties, use device, use done. Okay. Share contents. No. Okay. Cancel. Yeah. I'm speaking USB input speakers. Next, directing additional problem, checking other service devices, checking, close. Now, no hearing. Yeah. Apply. Okay. Listen, what about now? Are you hearing me?
హ్యాపీ టీచర్స్ డే సార్.
సార్కి మరి వినపడలేదు.
Audio
సార్కి
device
మనకి
is
వినపడుతుంది
disabled.
కానీ
Fixed.
అరుణకుమారి
వినిపించట్లేదా సార్?
అరుణమ్మా
అవును
Yeah. Just I'm checking why my video is not functioning. That I'm checking. Just a minute.
మనం చెప్తుంటే సార్ వినపడలేదు. సార్కి మనకి వినపడుతుంది కానీ అరుణమ్మా మంది వాళ్ళు వినపడుతుంది
Yeah,
కానీ
just a minute.
సార్ వినపడలా.
Use device.
అరుణమ్మా
మన వాయిస్ వినపడట్లేదు అనుకుంటా సార్.
Change
అరుణ
icon
ఇప్పుడు
property.
అటెండ్ ఇప్పుడు పడగల
Apply. Okay. Just a minute. A little problem that I am facing now. Regarding my
సార్కి మన వాయిస్ వినపడలేదు.
yes. Now I'm getting. Yes, because there is a light problem. The light problem would be there. That's why I could not hear your voice. Now I'm getting your voice. It's very clear, and now I'm sharing it a bit late by 7 minutes now. Okay, no matter. Late is better than never. And this is
సార్
my
టీచర్స్ డే సార్ హుసేన్ సార్.
yes,
హలో సార్,
yes, sir.
టీచర్స్ డే
Boliye, sir.
శుభాకాంక్షలు సార్.
Okay, thank you,
టీచర్స్ డే శుభాకాంక్షలు సార్.
thank you very much, and if you keep the
అరుణమ్మ
camera that is so close, I could see your. Yes. Yeah. Then, my greetings are there with you. And now let us see the what we can make it out. This is another slide that would like to show you, and this is the another slide which I want to make to you to know that happy greetings. Charts that I could see the chart. Happy Teachers Day, sir. Yes, Happy Teachers Day. And then I will want to see the how many participants are there. Participants are yes. I would like to check the how many participants. I could see the
సార్ ఓన్లీ
participants. List, I could not see the list.
Who's here, sir?
Harshita joining just now. Participants, yeah, there are only 9 participants are there in my today class. So day by day the strength is decreasing. I don't know what was the reason. So anyway, that I told you know, if one person also benefited my class, that I feel very happy. So I would like to see whether the other people will join after some time or not. If not, then we'll continue the same. Yeah, so these are the things would be there. Now, what is the another significance of this today? What is the another significance of the today? Yes, anybody?
Sir, so in addition to Teachers' Day, sir,
In addition to the Teachers' Day, there is another significance also. They have today's. What is that function of that thing?
International Day of Charity, sir.
International Day of the Charity is there. That is the another thing where I want to share to you is the this thing, International Day of Charity, and this is the day of the Mother Teresa's death anniversary, and it is commemorated. You see, this is the Mother Teresa's death anniversary. It will be commemorated in that way. The international uh, charity day also we can say today. These are the two aspects of it which I shared today, and
means
this is the thing which I want to convey to
sir,
you, and where the people are giving the help to food, clothes, health, medicines to the poor. They are distributing it. So now I will switch on to my the class where we discussed in a yesterday class, and we are dealing about the thing that is the principal legislation and subordinate legislation. So we would like to see that what are the distinctions should be there, because we thought that what are the distinctions, one of our
Sir,
students asked. So
sir,
yes, please
sir,
say
yesterday's kinds of legislation are four types, sir.
which types.
Supreme and subordinate legislation one, and second
Yes.
direct and indirect legislation,
Hmm.
third delegated legislation, and fourth on conditional legislation. But you
But
didn't explain the conditional legislation.
but when you see our syllabus, what is given in our syllabus? Have you seen the syllabus? Here I am showing the syllabus to you. So here the syllabus which I have given you, it is says about the conflict between the parent legislation and subordinate legislation. That means we have to see the only parent and subordinate legislation only, but the direct legislation, indirect legislation, it was not dealt in detail there. That's why I did not touch you that much. But still, that you want to have an idea regarding that one, yes, that we can make it the legislation, then we will discuss it, no matter. So if you just type the legislations slide, then we will get that what we discussed legislation or legislature side. So yesterday's slide that I can show you now, and just wait, we are looking in it. What is the slide it is showing about? Yes, the sources of legislation. This we are discussing in the yesterday class, and there we said there is a legislations. Yes, yes, yes. A legislation is the source of law, and that yes, it is a source of law. Legislation is a source of law, which consisting of the declaration of the legal rules by the competent authority, and the legislation is laying down the legal rules. Then, if you turn to the next slide, if you turn to the next slide, let me check it. The next slide, yes. Then the kinds of legislation is given over there: supreme and subordinate legislation, and direct and indirect legislation, and delegated legislation, and conditional legislation. And supreme legislation, legislation with the proceeds that we already discussed yesterday. And subordinate legislation also we discussed yesterday class. That is the colonial power at the time it, and executive of the parliament delegates the rules making the powers to departments of the executive organs, and judicial power, superior courts, and municipal authorities, and autonomous, that is the railway companies and universities and electricity department, When you come to the direct and indirect legislation, yes, direct legislation means framing of laws by the legislature. Means in the central the parliament, in the state in the legislatures, and directly they are making it out passed by the both the houses, and in the center consent of the assent of the president, and the state the assent of the governor is must. Of course, colonial legislation is a type of direct legislation. Some legislation we took it as it is, which is made in the British period, and we are using it. We did not make it except the amendments here and there. We did it by the virtue of the article of one of the article of the Constitution. I did not exactly know the which article says about 137 or 154. The blessing before the Independence Day, whatever the law should be there, that will be implemented after the independence also. So that is the direct legislation. When you come to the matter of the indirect legislation, when legal principles are declared by some other sources to whom lawmaking power is confined by the legislatures, and except colonial legislation, all other form of subordinate are instances of indirect legislation. So in the indirect legislation, which is made in one form in another form by the legislatures in the form of the rules and regulations, or the by the bylaws. So that was said about the indirect legislations. Yes. Any other discussion, please?
బ్రహ్మ బ్రహ్మంగారి గుడి మధ్యన దుర్గా గుడి మధ్యన ఉంటది సందు.
ఏం సందునండి, అది మ్యూట్ చేసి మాట్లాడండి.
లోపలికి
దైదా యాకోబు, అది మ్యూట్ చేయండి, మ్యూట్ చేయండి. మీ అన్ని మాటలు మాకు వినబడుతున్నాయి.
ఇప్పుడు మన
యా, నేను మ్యూట్ చేసేసిన, మరి ఇపై వాకండి. ఓకే, అన్లెస్ ఐ సే డోంట్ ఓపెన్ ఇట్. So Daida Yakubu, please make it the point. Yeah. So coming to the point again regarding the indirect legislation, when a legal principle are declared by some other sources to whom lawmaking power is conferred by the legislatures. So indirect legislation, even indirect legislation in one way, in another way, we can say the usage also indirect legislation we can put it over there, because those are the some sayings, not maxims. Maxims also in one form, in another form is the indirect legislation. We can count it. All other forms are instances of indirect legislation. I mean, subordinate legislations are the indirect legislations. So that is the regarding the direct or indirect legislation. Then we'll switch on to the another slide. Yes. The delegated legislation, this we already saw it. When lawmaking powers conferred by the legislature upon some other body declare laws, even the president having the power under the constitution to declare some bylaws, even governor also having the power, even municipal commissioners, plus collectors having the powers, judges having the powers, like High Court Chief Justice having the powers to make some delegated legislation, and the growth of the delegate legislation, because the concept of the welfare state, more work, more legislation, no time for parliament, because hardly the parliament makes 30 to 40 legislation in a year, either the amendment form or the repeal form or the new legislation form, and whatever it may be there, and all the forms, the consent assent of the president is must. So concept of welfare state, because state will take part in the welfare activities. That is the reason we can say the APSRTC or TSRTC, where the state will provide the transport facility to the to its public. That's called welfare state activity. And autonomous, because the dairy, the Vijay dairy was there. That is the autonomous body run by the autonomous section by the state in one way form and another form to supply the milk to the people. That is the concept of the welfare state. For that regard, the growth of delegate legislation is must, or it is indispensable, rather we can use the word. Difficult for the parliament to lay down the rules and technical in nature, delegated this work to departments and ministers. So such a delegation will be given to the departments or executives or to the ministers or concerned person to make the bylaws and rules and regulations. Delegated legislation necessary to meet the unforeseen contingency. Suppose unforeseen contingency is there now because of the pandemic. So the legislations will make like the MHRD, the minister make such a thing. Then the UGC make some delegated legislations, and the universities, and later on the colleges will implement it. Yes. Any other thing that you would like to ask? You ask me. That's once I finish this slide. Yeah, flexibility and expediency elements, good governance in as a must for the delegated legislations in cases of emergency due to the war or insurrection of floods, etc. So delegated legislation will work a lot. But now is the pandemic. After the flood situation, also delegated legislation works a lot because they make some rules and regulations and rules and circulars. Yes. Now you tell me that what you want to participate, what do you want to discuss? Yeah, please. Yes, any other person? You want to say ask something or you want to say something? Yeah, please say. If you want to say something or you want to, so that I could continue my class. Now the time is 11:49. Still, we have a lot of time with us, but student strength is very much day by day. It is. I don't say decreasing, but it is not more than 15, sometimes 20, 19. The students are attending in the class. The delegated legislation, the importance which is given here in the bullet points and which I shared the screen, and that is about the delegated legislation, why it is essential. Again, we'll see the conditional legislation. What are the conditional legislations are there? And that is extend the operation of law to an area of territory. That is the conditional legislation. And determine the time application act to be given in area. Sometimes no, the areas the legislation will work over there, and time factor also the legislation work over there. Can you anybody will tell me which act will the time factor legislation? Yes, anybody? Yes, anyone can give the reply to my question. You can unmute and you can give me the reply.
Time factor means temporary legislation, sir, for the time being.
Oh, time being, the legislation is only for time being.
So after that, that will be repealed.
That is no more in existence. Financial Act.
Yes, sir. Financial Act. Yes.
After
Earlier it
1 year,
will be.
there is no question of again. It will be there.
Yes, sir.
Is it not? So it is a conditional legislation in one form, in another form.
Yes, support to IT
Because there
Act.
is a duration is there, temporary act is there. Hmm.
Yes, sir. Yes.
And now also Naxalite Act, there is a separate court is made over there. But now I did not find any Naxalite court is existence even in Varangal. And come to the point of the fourth is determine the extent and limits within it should be operative. So in conditional legislation, and to that condition only it will work over there. After that it will not work. So that is the example of it. And the fifth one is introduce a special law if the contemplated situation has arisen in the opinion of the government. Suppose a special law would be made depending upon the factor, a legislation would be made for time being to take care of it. So at that instance also, we can say that yes, the conditional legislations will work over there. What about this pandemic that is uh, at the present, which is a Disaster Management Act? It is through that also the governor and president and the prime minister, or of course not prime minister will not away, but the minister will make such a bylaws and they will issue it time to time. MHRD. So that would be the some of the legislation which can be made on the conditional basis. That's why we can say it's the conditional legislations. And then we come to the point of again, the another
Sir,
point I would
during
say,
war time,
yes, please.
sir,
Yes.
during war times also any act will be promulgated, sir, for time being.
During war, naturally, there would be some emergency will be kept it over there. So
Uh,
in the wartime also, yeah, some of the act will not be function because of the situation over there. For instance, you take at the time of the
yes.
election, they will keep some more regulations. One cannot carry the currency from one state to another state. Are you
Mm.
following me?
Yes, sir, yes, sir.
So some of the
This
restriction
will
they
be
will
there.
put it either if they need arises, they will make an act also, or they will make the amendment to the act also, like that. Now the central government wants to make the changes from the 55 years or 50 years, or whichever is earlier, 30 years seniority. So they want to make the changes in the act itself. Even education policy, education. See, education is a concurrent list. They want to also change the some policies, and they want to make it out. So depending upon the situation, also they will make such an act or amendment or repeals or insertion of the substitutes. Also they could do. So now come to the codification is concerned. Yeah, why do we need the codification? The codification is needed because to easy way of to cite the things and to make the things in a smooth way. That is the codification would be needed. That code means a systematic collection of statutes, a body of arranged as to avoid the inconsistency and overlapping. So that is the one to and compilation and promulgation and collection and systematization of the body of law in a coherent form by an authority in a state competent to do so. So that is the reason we can say the codification is needed. The reduction of the whole corpus juris so far as practicable in the form of enacted law, that is the Salmon say. And Bentham said why the codification is needed. A complete digest as such is the first rule. Whatever is not in the code ought not be law. So that is the Bentham say. But when you say the law of tort, it is not in codified form. Still, it is in the form of judicial decisions, or it is the form of justice, equity, and good conscience, and it is based on the common law practice. Yes, any other thing that you would like to share?
Sir,
Any,
codification is a separate topic, sir, or related to uh, conditional legislation.
actually, it is not a part of it, but
No?
any act, when you want to make it, then codified only, it will become an act. Either the act or the code compiling, keeping in one place, so that consistency should be there and overlapping should not be there, and easy to cite the sections when there are discussions are going on, need not to repeat and spell and say and read all the sections, and just we can say under the section 302 this punishment should be given, and attempt to murder under section 307 this will be given. So, by citing the section itself is enough. In that way, that codification would be helpful for the consistency and collection and promulgation and arrangement and avoid the overlapping. The codification needed for that purpose. Anyway, that slide gives actually that's why I said the what is the importance of the codification in the interpretation of the statutes. Yes, because the section, if you happen to see Information Act section 66A or 60A is null and void. They made it because a person who has loaded a thing in the WhatsApp, yes, it is having the free expression. He can load it, and he will not be held responsible for the criminal offense. So that would be the thing which I may not be mistaken. So codification, I don't know whether you agree to this or not. 5 to 10 students are sitting on the in the hotel, just for the killing the time. Of course, it's not a pandemic now. Pandemic, nobody would have to gather together. So there are 10 students are sitting around the table and gossiping and making. And one of the fellows said, they say section 4. They said the other people laughed it. After sometimes the another fellow said section 10. Then the people laughed. So depending upon the situation, the people are making the sections, quoting the sections. Then adjacent table for was very much astonished, and he said, "Why this man is giving only section? Other people are laughing." Then said, "Sir, we know at least 100 jokes, so we codified the jokes. We know the 100 jokes, we codified the jokes. So we will now, whenever the situation comes, we use the sections instead of using the total joke. So that is the codification." I don't know whether you understood my point or not. Anybody want to supplement it? Yes, you can unmute and then you can speak.
నేను ఒత్తుకొద్దని చెప్పినప్పటికి
ఎవరు చెప్పిండ్రు బండి గ్యామ్ సారి అది మ్యూట్ చేస్తారా, నేను మ్యూట్ చేయాలనా? శేషోత్తర్ గారు, శేషోత్తర్ గారు మాత్రం ఎప్పుడు వీడియోలో ఆడియోలో రెండు ఆన్ చేసి పెడతారు సార్. మాట్లాడినప్పుడే ఆన్ చేస్తారు సార్. వీడియో ఆన్ చేయండి, ఏం కాదు, నాకేం కాదు, కానీ ఆడియో మాత్రం మాట్లాడినప్పుడే ఓకే. దెన్ షేక్ సుబ్హానీ, నౌ యూ కెన్ స్పీక్. షేక్ సుబ్హానీ, speak. You unmute your microphone, then you speak. Yes, I unmuted. You also unmute. సుబ్హానీ, మైక్రోఫోన్ ఆన్ చేయండి, మాట్లాడండి.
మార్నింగ్ సార్.
ఎస్ మార్నింగ్. ఇప్పుడు చెప్పండి. నేను ఒకటి ఇందాక ఒక ఎగ్జాంపుల్ చెప్పాను. ఏంటిదండి ఎగ్జాంపుల్? ఇప్పుడు ఒక ఎగ్జాంపుల్ చెప్పిన చూడండి. ఒక సెక్షన్ 4 అనగానే అందరు నవ్వినరని, ఇంకొకడు సెక్షన్ 10 అనగానే అందరు నవ్వినరని, ఇంకొకడు సెక్షన్ 24 ఏదో 25 అనగానే అందరు నవ్వినరని ఒక చెప్పాను ఇప్పుడు ఇందాక. అంటే ఏ దృష్టిలో, ఏ కోణంలో చెప్పాను చెప్పండి సార్ అది? In what reference, in what context, and what idea to give you to understand that I said such an example? Can you tell me that what is that example conveys to you? సుబాని చెప్పాలా? ఏదన్నా మాట్లాడ సార్. నాకు తెలుసు అనాలా, తెలియదు అనాలా, పాస్ అని అనాలా, మొత్తానికి అనాలా, చెప్పాలా?
తెలియదు సార్.
అట్లా చెప్పరాదండి. మరి ఇంతసేపు నన్ను worripistan ఏంటి? Why you are making me to cry over there? If you don't know, you can, yes, anyone can give the answer for that. Unmute it and give the answer. Now Subhani, you can mute now. Mute చేయండి ఇప్పుడు, మైక్రోఫోన్ బంద్ చేయండి. Yeah, yes, any person can give the answer now. చెప్పాలా?
Please ask question again, sir.
నేను ఇందాక ఒక ఎగ్జాంపుల్ చెప్పానండి. ఇప్పుడే ఒక ఎగ్జాంపుల్ చెప్పాను. దేని కొరకు చెప్పాను అది చెప్పండి నాకు. వై ఐ హావ్ గివెన్ సచ్ ఎన్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్? నేను ఎందుకు చెప్పానంటే, ఒక 10 దోస్తులు, వాళ్ళకు 100 జోక్స్ తెలుసు. 100 జోక్స్, JOKES జోక్స్. కాకపోతే ఏంటంటే వాళ్ళు కోడిఫైడ్ చేసిర్రు దాన్ని. నెంబర్ 1 ఈ జోక్, నెంబర్ 2 ఈ జోక్, నెంబర్ 3 ఈ జోక్, 98 ఈ జోక్, 99 ఈ జోక్, 100 ఈ జోక్. ఎప్పుడైనా వీళ్ళు కలిసినప్పుడు వీళ్ళు జోక్ మొత్తం చెప్పరు, సెక్షనే చెప్తారు. ఇప్పుడు చెప్పండి ఎందుకు చెప్పానండి ఇది నేను? కోడిఫికేషన్. దైద యాకూబు చెప్పండి, మీరు చెప్పండి ఇప్పుడు. దైద యాకూబు, నౌ యు స్పీక్. దైద యాకూబు, కోడిఫికేషన్ కొరకు చెప్పాను. కోడిఫికేషన్ లో ఏమైతుందంటే అన్ని చెప్పవసరం లేదు, ఓన్లీ సెక్షన్ సరిపోతుంది. అది దానికి కావాల్సింది కోడిఫికేషన్. గుడ్ ఆఫ్టర్నూన్ సార్. చెప్పండి సార్. గుడ్ మార్నింగ్ సార్.
ఇది codification means compilation of the any work or any necessary requirement అనుకుంటున్నా సార్.
Yes.
Either jokes or any level.
Any level.
One of the compilation.
This
Any law
is
is
the
compilation is called
yes,
codification, sir.
that is the meaning of the codification. Either it is a jokes or it is a codification. ఇప్పుడు మాల్ పోతారు మీరు ఇప్పుడు వెజిటబుల్ మార్కెట్లే పోయిందనుకో వాడు కోడిఫైడ్ చేస్తారు. నెంబర్ 1 పొటాటో, నెంబర్ 2 బ్రింజల్స్, నెంబర్ 3 లేడీ ఫింగర్, నెంబర్ 4 స్పినాచ్, నెంబర్ 5 కోడిఫికేషన్ చేసి పెట్టుకుంటారు వాళ్ళు. ఎందుకంటే ఈజీగా కొట్టచ్చు దాంట్లో కోడిఫికేషన్ అయితే. ఈ స్పినాచ్ అని మొత్తం రాయాల్సిన అవసరం లేదు. అఫ్ కోర్స్ వాళ్ళకు సాఫ్ట్వేర్ కూడా ఉంటుంది అనుకోండి అట్లాంటిది, అది కొట్టంగానే ఆటోమేటిక్ వచ్చేస్తుంది. సో దిస్ ఈస్ ద అడ్వాంటేజ్ ఆఫ్ ది కోడిఫికేషన్ అన్నట్టు అర్థం. సో పాయింట్ చెప్పిండు, కండిషనల్ ఇవన్నీ మనకు లేవు. అయినా ఎందుకంటే అడిగారు కాబట్టి నేను చెప్పాను ఇది. యాక్చువల్లీ అదర్వైజ్ we did not have it, but anyway that let me come to the my own thing. So we are having the conflict between the parent legislation and subordinate legislation. అప్పుడు ఏమవుతుందంటే the parent legislation will prevail over the subordinate legislation. So differences between the supreme legislation and the subordinate legislation ఏముంటది? Supreme legislation says supreme legislation is that which proceeds from the sovereign power in the state. And that means if it is a central government, it is a parliament. If it is a state government, ఎవరండి స్టేట్ గవర్నమెంట్ లో చేస్తారు ఎనాక్ట్మెంట్స్? చెప్పాలి రేవ్ రెస్పాన్స్. అసెంబ్లీ చేస్తుందండి. సో దట్ ఈస్ ద హైయెస్ట్ బాడీ ఇన్ ద స్టేట్. కానీ సబార్డినేట్ లెజిస్లేషన్ ఎవరు చేస్తారండి సెంట్రల్లో? సబార్డినేట్ లెజిస్లేషన్ సెంట్రల్లో ఎవరు చేస్తారు? ఇక్కడ రాశాం కదండి నేను. సపోజ్ ఇఫ్ ఇట్ ఈస్ ఎగ్జిక్యూటివ్ ఉన్నదనుకోండి, ఎగ్జిక్యూటివ్ ఆఫీసర్ చేస్తాడు, మినిస్టర్ చేస్తాడు, ఐఏఎస్ ఆఫీసర్ కలెక్టర్ చేస్తాడు, డిపెండింగ్ అపాన్ ద చీఫ్ సెక్రటరీ చేస్తాడు. సబార్డినేట్ లెజిస్లేషన్ సెంట్రల్లో ఎగ్జిక్యూటివ్ బాడీ చేస్తుంది. ఈవెన్ మినిస్టర్ కూడా చేస్తాడు లెజిస్లేషన్. స్టేట్ లో మాత్రం గవర్నర్ చేస్తారు, కలెక్టర్ చేస్తారు, తహసీల్దార్ చేస్తారు. విన్నారా అండి? Even a magistrate, even a district magistrate also give the subordinate legislation. We can make it rules and regulation to run the smooth running of the court. So next, that is the thing which will make supreme legislation is that which proceeds from the sovereign powers in the state. కాకపోతే sovereign powers ఎవరైతే ఉంటాయో స్టేట్ లో సుప్రీం లెజిస్లేషన్ చేస్తున్నా కానీ డెలిగేటెడ్ లెజిస్లేషన్ మాత్రం ఆర్ సబార్డినేట్ లెజిస్లేషన్ either it can be done by the executive or it can be done by the autonomous body or a minister or the president or the governor, and as the case may be it will be delivered. So conflict వచ్చినప్పుడు ఏమవుతుంది? I already told you, when the conflict comes between the two, naturally that the principal, the parent legislation will prevail over there. That is the actually the thing. So I gave some of the cases also in my last class. Substantive ultra virus ఉన్నప్పుడు ఏముంటది? The case which I made it municipality case, I made it very much clear in the my yesterday class. And BD making case law also I make it very much. Then the Jawaharlal Nehru Technological University case law also I made it very much clear to you. Then Mirza case law, that is what Mirza? ఏ మిర్జా అండి అని పేరు? నర్గిస్ మిర్జా కేసులో ఆల్సో. అండ్ చింతా మనారావు కేసులో చెప్పినా అండి, చింతామణారావు కేసులో అగ్రికల్చర్ సీజన్, అది చింతామణారావు కేసులో విలేజ్ యాక్ట్ ఉంటది, డిప్యూటీ కమిషనర్ బీడీస్. ఆ బీడీ కేసులో ఈజ్ నథింగ్ బట్ ఇన్ ఇండియా చింతామణారావు వర్సెస్ స్టేట్ ఆఫ్ మధ్యప్రదేశ్, దట్ ఇస్ ద బీడీ కేసులో. సో వన్ కెనాట్ మేక్ ద సచ్ ఏ rules and regulation that one should not do the BDs or manufacture the BDs when the agriculture season is there. It is against the article 19(1)(g) of Indian Constitution. A person can practice any profession and occupation whatever he likes it. So that was the actually thing which happened in the other cases. Then we will come to the point of the yes, Nargish Mirza also, the case law which is there. Yes, they can marry and they cannot be restriction should be there. And the Ramarao case law which is said about the age of superannuation is concerned. In conclusion, that I made very much clear to you that To draw the conclusion, it can be said that if the subordinate or a delegate legislation goes beyond the scope of authority, at that time, the authority, it is in a conflict with the parent or enabling act, then it is called a substantive ultra virus. The delegated legislation is substantive ultra virus. The validity of the subordinate or delegate legislation may be challenged before the court on this ground. So, even if any act, either it is a principal legislation or a subordinate legislation, which is contravene the articles of the any constitution of India, at that instance also it becomes null and void. Even the even the principal legislation, any provisions in the principal legislation, if it is contravenes the constitutional any articles, at that instance, yes, we can say it is null and void, we can say. Now, so yesterday example which I have given is there, why the age limit is not there for the law and why the age limit is there in the medicine. I give the reasons also. In the medicine, the government spends a lot of amount. In the engineering, government spends a lot of amount. But when the law, it is only the meager amount. Moreover, after studying the law, not necessary that one should have to become an advocate, not necessary that one should have to become a legal officer, not necessary that one should have to become a magistrate or a judge, because to know the land also people study the law. శేషావతారం గారు, ఇప్పుడు మీరెందుకు చదువుతానండి ఇలా? ఇప్పుడు మాట్లాడండి.
For
Unmute
knowledge,
it and then
for knowledge purpose and if time permits, practicing also.
yes. దైద యాకూబు, ఇప్పుడు మాట్లాడండి.
Because previously knowledge person knowledge of that.
శేషావతార్ గారు ఇక మ్యూట్ చేసేసేయండి. ఇప్పుడు మీరు అయిపోయింది మీరు టర్న్. దైద యాకూబ్ గారు చెప్పండి, ఇప్పుడు మీరు ఎందుకు చదువుతాండ్రులా? యూ హ్యావ్ టు టెల్ మీ ద రీజన్. సార్ టైం పాస్ చదువుతాన్నా, ఏదో వన్ ఆఫ్ ది రీజన్. సార్ కొంతమంది తెలుస్తుందని చదువుతాన్నా, దిస్ ఇస్ అనదర్ రీజన్. సార్ ఎప్పటికైనా అవసరం పడుతుంది కదా అని, దట్ ఇస్ అనదర్ రీజన్. సార్ ఇంటికాడంటే బోర్ అవుతుంది కాబట్టి, ఓకే, అదొక రీజన్. ఎస్, చెప్పాలా, ఏదైనా ఒక రీజన్ చెప్పాలా. ఆర్ నన్ ఆఫ్ ది ఎబో ఆర్ ఆల్ ఆఫ్ దెమ్, పిక్కు పెట్టండి ఒకటి, ఏదో ఒకటి.
సార్ ఈ లా కోర్స్ అనేది
ఆ,
మేధావుల కోర్స్ అని చెప్పొచ్చు సార్. ఇది
అది సంగతి, అది చెప్పరుతారా అని నేను అనుకుంటే మీరు ఎవ్వరు చెప్తలేరు. అది లా ఈజ్
ఇది
డబుల్ షార్ప్ అండ్ ఎడ్జ్ స్వర్డ్. లా కోర్స్ ఈజ్ ఏ డబుల్ ఎడ్జ్డ్, అంటే రెండు తరవల పదును ఉన్నది. ఇటుకెట్టి కొట్టినా కూడా కట్ అవుతుంది, అట్లకెళ్ళి కొట్టినా కూడా కట్ అవుతుంది. రెండు వైపుల పదును పెట్టే కత్తి అన్నట్టు ఇది. డూ అగ్రీ? శ్రీకాంత్ డి, యు అన్మ్యూట్ అండ్ యూ స్పీక్. శ్రీకాంత్ డి, యు అన్మ్యూట్ అండ్ స్పీక్. అన్మ్యూట్ చేయండి, మీరు అన్మ్యూట్ చేసి మాట్లాడండి. స్పీక్, రెస్పాండ్. శ్రీకాంత్ అంటే అర్థం ఉన్నట్ట, లేనట్ట, పోయినట్ట, ఎటు పోయినట్టు, వాటి ప్రిజంప్షన్ ఏమనుకోవాలండి. శ్రీకాంత్ గారు దొంగల పడ్డ 5 నెలలకు 6 నెలలకు ప్రొడ్యూస్ అవన్నట్టు మీరు అప్పటికెళ్ళాడుతాను. మీరెందుకు చదువుతానండి ఇలా చెప్పండి. నాలెడ్జ్ సేక్ అంటే మరి ఏం ప్రొఫెషన్ చేయదలుచుకున్నారండి? మీరు ఆల్రెడీ ప్రొఫెషనల్ ఉన్నారా? ఆర్ యూ ఇన్ ఎనీ ప్రొఫెషన్ నౌ? ఆర్ యూ ఎర్నింగ్ మెంబర్ నౌ? సార్ కాన్ఫిడెన్షియల్ సార్, అది చెప్పండి సార్. మీరు ఇప్పుడు ఇది కాన్ఫిడెన్షియల్, యూ సే కాన్ఫిడెన్షియల్ సార్. ఇప్పుడు నేను ఎందుకు చదివినా చెప్పాలండి. వై ఐ స్టడీ లా? ఇట్ ఈస్ నాట్ మై చాయిస్, ఇట్ ఈస్ బై ఛాన్స్ ఐ స్టడీడ్ ద లా, బట్ ఐ నెవర్ ఫెల్ట్ ఇట్. I never repented that why I studied the law. No. See, I utilize my chance and I make a profession. So that is my way of the I have chosen the law. I never dreamed that I will study the law. I never dreamed that I will become a PhD in law. But the situation made me to continue it, so I continued it and make my profession. And whatever that you get it, even MA Telugu also doesn't matter. MA Sanskrit also doesn't matter. Whatever the study that you studied it, you can make your only livelihood with that if you are very much perfect in that field. That I want to convey to my students. Yes. Any other comments that you would like to say? See, today is the 5th September. It is Dr. Sarvepalli Radhakrishnan's birthday. So we will commemorate. Please join with us at 3:15 today. Let we make the commemoration a successful. Please be prepared to say something. At least 2 minutes enough. Unmute it on your video, speak for 2 minutes, enough. And meeting ID is my meeting ID only that I would like to make it out. And I will like to see that this will be put it in the YouTube so that you could show to your children, you can show to your father, mother, brother, relatives how you spoke and how your English would be there and how you look like and regarding any other matter is concerned. Please don't feel it shy because when you go on speaking it, you will become a lion. You learn it. So that is the reason that in the beginning that you will make a mistakes, but in the second time or third time or fourth time, and how many people know that how to mute it or how to unmute it? You know, no. But now you learnt it the digital system and using the smartphone. Even Sheshav Tarangaru, yeah, Yakubu Garu, I'm referring to you also because now young generation could use the smartphone well, but the old generation like me, even I myself also did not know how to even purchase the online even now today also because why unnecessarily learning the things and losing the money? That's my point. Yes. And now the time is 12:15. If you want to say anything, you can say. Let us join by 3:15 of today and let we express our views regarding that today's teacher days because all the professions, noble profession is a teacher profession because this profession makes even a doctors, engineers, lawyers, scientists, and whatnot. So, with this, I would like to stop my lecture today lecture, and tomorrow we'll see that what is the effect of repeal, what is the effect of amendment, and what is the effect of the changes would be there in the statutes, and how it can be, how the impact we will see in the tomorrow class. Sir, tomorrow is Sunday, no, sir. Yes, Sunday, no class, and we will meet on Monday. Okay? Yes, now you can unmute and let me say goodbye. So, goodbye to everybody. Have a nice day, and we'll meet again at 3:15. Please don't miss the class. I want your deliberations, and I would like to see that everybody.